Hey, welcome. If you are here for the first time, hi, this is Rhea, and my aim is to add some value to your life by creating videos about self-improvement, mental health, productivity. Make sure you are subscribed and the notification bell is turned on. Today we will talk about some memorization techniques, or you can say study tips, which will help you learn anything better. The first one is Feynman Technique. It is a mental model named after Richard Feynman, and it works like this. After you have understood the topic, the first step is to grab a sheet of paper and write the name of the topic at the top of the page. Step 2 is to explain the concept in your own words as if you are explaining it to someone who has zero knowledge about it. You have to write in simplest language possible, breaking the complex sentences into simpler words. We are doing this to know that how well we have understood the concept, because according to Feynman, if we are not able to explain something in simple language, then we have not really understood it ourselves. Step 3 is review what you have written, find out the areas you missed, and find the areas where you think your explanation was a little shaky, and then review your study material again to correct those areas. Step 4 says, if you have used a lot of complex words in your explanation, rewrite those sections using simpler words. This was the Feynman technique. The next one is even more interesting. It is the Lightener System. To explain this, let me take an example. You have 3 boxes of flashcards or your notes, box 1, box 2 and box 3. Box 1 contains cards that are with concepts you are not able to recall easily and you make mistakes with. Box 3 has cards that you know very well. Now you have to study the material in box 1 quite often, for example each day, the material in box 2 once in 3 days, and the material in box 3 once in 5 days. Now when you pick a card in box 1 and suppose you get the answer right without looking at it, this card will be promoted to box number 2. And when you pick a card in box 2 and you get the answer right, that card will go in box number 3, meaning now you have to review it not so often, example once in 5 days. Suppose you didn't get the answer right, that card will again go to box number 1. Now suppose that you pick a card from box number 3 and you are not able to answer it correctly, then it will again go to box number 1. So basically from box 1 to box 3, the time gap in which you have to revisit the cards increases. This is the Lightener System. I'll call the third method as general to specific. The speed at which you learn something is determined by how you learn it or the way you learn it. If I try to learn the very small details of a concept at a very early stage of my study session, then chances are that at the end I don't remember the basic steps of the concept itself. The reason this can happen is that we can get stuck in learning and perfecting the small details or specific details of the concept that we don't pay enough attention to the actual concept. So what helped me is learning the general steps of the concept first, having a broad idea of what it is, and then digging deep into each step. So first general and then specific. Fourth is spaced revision system. To transfer a piece of information from short-term memory to long-term memory, meaning for you to remember something for a longer time, you have to use something called spaced repetition. Have a look at this. This is the forgetting curve, and it represents the decline of memory retention as time passes. This shows how information is lost over time if it is not reviewed. Let's say you read something today and you need to learn it. In this case, the best time to get back to the material you read is within a day or 2. This is because a study shows that after 1 day, we remember 54% of what we read, after 7 days, 35%, and after 63 days, it is just 17%. And obviously, if you open the material after 3 months, you will be like, did I even read this before? The fifth method is PQRST method, and according to this method, you can divide your study process into 5 parts. In this, P stands for preview, and let's say you have a chapter to learn. Preview means just scan the text. Don't try to learn anything at this point. Just get a hint of what it is about. Just see the main headings of different sections. Q means questions. Turn the main headings into questions. Write the questions someone studying this chapter might have. Write questions like who, when, where, how, why. We are doing this because our brain is more active when we are reading purposefully to find answers. R stands for read. Now you have to read the text to find answers to your questions. S stands for summarize. Write what you read, but in your own words. T stands for test yourself. Check what you missed, check what's incorrect, revisit the chapter, only then go to the next section. And this is the PQRST method. I also want to talk about how important your sleep is for your memory. This is the most underrated technique to improve memory. Although sleep, learning, and memory are complex phenomena which still grab researchers' attention, but there is no doubt that sleep is super important for both memory and learning. See, there are 3 phases of memory formation. First, acquisition, which is the introduction of new information into the brain. Second is consolidation, which represents processes through which a memory becomes stable. Third is recall. It refers to the ability to assess the information after it has been stored. Acquisition and recall occur only during wakefulness, meaning when we are awake. But consolidation of memories occur during sleep through the strengthening of neural connections that form our memories. That is why sleep is important for your memory. And this is for sure that lack of sleep will not let you focus. Moreover, if you are sleep deprived and you are trying to learn something, that too for long term, it is near to impossible. Now, I would also like to mention that stress also affects memory functions and cognitive functioning of the brain. So, sleep well, don't stress, only then you can study well. Before we end, I would like to mention a really important method, the prodigy method. Since I have already talked about it in one of my previous videos, that is why I have mentioned it at the end. I link that video in the description box below. This is all for today, folks. Thanks a lot for joining. Before you leave, I have a message for you.